The tension inside the Cleveland Browns locker room just reached a breaking point. Veterans are speaking out, whispers are spreading, and one rookie quarterback is suddenly at the center of it all. Did Shedeur Sanders just reveal the truth about Cleveland's future before the 2026 season even begins? American fire. When a rookie quarterback enters an NFL locker room, the excitement from fans and media doesn't always translate the same way inside the building. Veteran players have been through the grind of long seasons, tough losses, and constant competition. Because of that, they don't immediately buy into hype. Instead, they believe respect must be earned on the field, especially by someone expected to lead the offense. That's why rookies at the quarterback position often face quiet but intentional tests from experienced players. It's not always about physical competition. Sometimes it's mental. Veterans want to see how a young quarterback reacts when things don't go perfectly. Do they panic? Do they get frustrated? Or do they stay calm and keep control of the huddle? For someone like Shedeur Sanders, the spotlight is even brighter. Entering the league with major attention means every move is watched more closely. Teammates, coaches, and even opponents are all curious to see whether the confidence seen in college will translate to the professional level. But inside the locker room, reputation doesn't mean much until players witness how a quarterback handles pressure firsthand. These tests can take many forms during training camp or practice. A veteran defender might talk a little extra before the snap. Someone might challenge a play call or push the tempo to create confusion. Other times, defenders simply try to disrupt the rhythm of the offense. None of it is random. It's a way to see if the rookie quarterback can command the moment and keep everyone focused. The reason this matters so much is because the quarterback holds the most important leadership role on the team. Offensive linemen, receivers, and running backs all rely on the quarterback to stay composed in chaotic situations. If the quarterback shows frustration or uncertainty, the entire offense can feel it instantly. But when a quarterback remains calm and confident, that energy spreads through the huddle. Veterans know this, which is why they watch closely when a young quarterback faces adversity. They want to see whether the player can maintain authority without forcing it. Leadership in football isn't just about shouting commands. Sometimes it's about staying steady while everything around you becomes intense. This unwritten tradition has existed in the NFL for decades. Many successful quarterbacks faced similar moments early in their careers. Those early tests often become the first step in earning the trust of teammates. And for a rookie like Sanders, those moments during practice can quietly shape how the locker room views him long before the regular season even begins. American football. Training camp practices are designed to be competitive, but every once in a while, a moment happens that feels a little more intense than usual. For the Cleveland Browns, one particular drill reportedly created that kind of atmosphere. What started as a normal team rep slowly turned into a situation that had players and coaches paying very close attention. During a series of offensive snaps, rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders stepped into the huddle ready to run the next play. Training camp is often where timing, communication, and chemistry are tested. Every player is trying to prove something, especially when roster spots and depth chart positions are still being evaluated. On the defensive side of the ball, one veteran defender appeared determined to disrupt the moment. Instead of simply lining up and running the play, the defender reportedly began applying extra pressure before the snap. That pressure didn't come from physical contact alone. It came from subtle movements, comments, and attempts to throw off the rhythm of the offense. In the NFL, these small psychological battles happen all the time. Defensive players often try to create confusion or frustration for quarterbacks, especially younger ones. A quick comment, a sudden shift in alignment, or a loud reaction before the snap can all force a quarterback to second-guess the play call. But this moment seemed to carry a little more weight than a typical training camp exchange. Several teammates nearby reportedly noticed the situation developing. Players along the sideline began watching more closely, curious to see how the rookie quarterback would respond. Moments like this are important inside a locker room because they reveal how someone handles unexpected tension. The defender continued the pressure, trying to break the focus of the offense. From the outside, it looked like a deliberate attempt to challenge the rookie quarterback in front of the entire unit. Training camp drills usually move quickly, but this particular moment slowed down as the situation built. Every quarterback eventually faces moments like this. The field becomes louder, the defense becomes more aggressive, and the pressure increases. For rookies, those situations can feel even more intense because they're still proving themselves to teammates who have been in the league for years. As the play clock moved forward and the offense prepared to run the snap, the attention of the entire unit shifted towards Sanders. Teammates wanted to see if he would react emotionally, push back at the defender, or simply try to ignore the situation and move forward. What happened next would become the moment that people around the practice field started talking about afterward. Because instead of escalating the tension, Sanders responded in a way that surprised several observers watching the drill unfold. American football. As the tension built during the practice drill, many players on the field and along the sideline began watching closely. Moments like this often reveal something important about a quarterback. When pressure suddenly rises, the reaction can tell teammates far more than any highlight throw ever could. All eyes quietly shifted toward Shedeur Sanders. The veteran defender continued trying to disrupt the offense before the snap. It wasn't anything extreme, but the message was clear. The rookie quarterback was being tested. In the NFL, those tests happen naturally, especially when a young player enters the league with a lot of attention surrounding them. Many rookies respond emotionally in situations like this. Some argue back, others rush the play or lose focus on the details of the offense. But according to observers at the practice, Sanders reacted very differently. Instead of showing frustration, he remained calm inside the huddle. He kept communicating with his teammates and focused on the play call. There was no visible panic, no shouting, and no dramatic reaction. From the outside, it looked like he treated the moment as just another normal rep. The offense lined up, the ball was snapped, and Sanders executed the play as planned. That alone caught the attention of some players nearby. Maintaining focus during distractions is one of the most important qualities for any quarterback, and doing it under pressure during practice can leave an impression. But the moment didn't completely end there. After the play finished, Sanders briefly addressed the situation in a controlled way. Reports suggested he spoke calmly rather than escalating the moment. It wasn't about proving toughness through confrontation. Instead, the response showed composure and confidence. That reaction created a noticeable shift in the energy around the field. What had started as a tense moment suddenly felt quieter. Teammates who had been watching closely appeared to recognize that the rookie quarterback had handled the situation without letting it spiral into something bigger. In professional football, emotional control is often viewed as a sign of maturity. Quarterbacks are expected to guide the offense through chaotic situations during games. Crowd noise, defensive pressure, and mistakes can all happen within seconds. If a quarterback loses focus in those moments, the entire offense can feel the impact. By staying composed during the exchange, Sanders demonstrated the type of mindset coaches and teammates look for in a leader. It wasn't about winning an argument or proving a point. It was about keeping the team focused and continuing to move forward. For many observers at the practice, that calm reaction became the part of the moment that stood out the most. And in a locker room where leadership is earned over time, small moments like this can quietly shape how teammates begin to view a young quarterback. American football. In modern football, fans often focus on the flashy parts of quarterback play. Big throws, deep passes, and highlight reel moments dominate social media and sports coverage. But inside an NFL locker room, players and coaches tend to value something much less visible. They care about composure. That's why the recent practice moment involving Shedeur Sanders has quietly sparked conversations around the Cleveland Browns. While the situation itself may not have seemed dramatic to outsiders, the way a quarterback handles tension can leave a lasting impression on teammates. Quarterbacks are placed in the most demanding leadership position in football. Every offensive play starts with them. They read the defense, communicate the play call, and guide the entire unit through pressure-packed situations. When the pocket collapses or the defense shifts unexpectedly, everyone in the huddle looks to the quarterback for stability. That's where composure becomes more important than pure physical ability. Arm strength can win a few plays, athleticism can create highlight moments. But over the course of an entire season, the quarterbacks who succeed are usually the ones who remain calm when everything around them becomes chaotic. Think about late-game situations. The crowd is loud, the defense is aggressive, the clock is running down. In those moments, teammates don't just want a talented quarterback, they want someone who can stay mentally steady and make clear decisions. Veteran players especially pay attention to this trait. Many of them have played with multiple quarterbacks throughout their careers. They've experienced both sides of it, the calm leaders who keep everyone focused and the emotional reactions that sometimes cause the offense to lose rhythm. When a young quarterback demonstrates composure early, it sends a powerful signal to the locker room. It suggests that the player understands the responsibility of the position and can handle the mental demands of the game. This doesn't mean that leadership is built in one practice or a single moment. Respect in the NFL is earned over time through consistency, preparation, and performance. But small situations often provide the first glimpse of how a player might respond when the stakes become higher. For a rookie quarterback entering the league with significant attention, those early impressions can matter even more. Teammates are naturally curious about how the player will respond when the pressure increases. Every practice rep becomes an opportunity to show that the confidence seen in college can translate to the professional level. Coaches also watch these moments carefully. Offensive systems rely heavily on the quarterback's ability to control tempo and maintain focus. If a quarterback can stay composed during tense situations in practice, it increases confidence that they can handle the same pressure during real games. In the end, the NFL has always valued quarterbacks who combine talent with mental toughness. Arm strength might get a player drafted, but composure is what helps them earn trust inside the locker room. And sometimes, a single calm reaction during a heated practice can quietly reveal more about a quarterback's future than any highlight throw ever could. American football. When the practice rep finally ended, the intensity of the moment slowly faded, but the reactions around the field were hard to ignore. In professional football, players often say very little during tense situations. Instead, they watch. They observe how teammates respond when things become uncomfortable. And in this case, many players were quietly watching Shedeur Sanders. Inside the Cleveland Browns' practice environment, drills usually move quickly. One play ends and the next rep begins almost immediately. But moments that carry a little extra emotion often linger longer than expected. Players walking back to the sideline were reportedly discussing what had just happened. For veteran players, reactions like this are part of how locker room respect is formed. Experience teaches them that leadership traits rarely show up during perfect situations. They show up when someone is challenged in front of the team. In this particular drill, the challenge had come from the defensive side of the ball. The pressure placed on the rookie quarterback was clearly designed to test his focus. Defensive players often take pride in creating those moments. If they can rattle a quarterback during practice, they know opposing defenses will try to do the same during games. But the way Sanders handled the situation changed the tone afterward. Several teammates appeared to acknowledge the composure he showed during the exchange. It wasn't loud praise or dramatic celebration. In NFL locker rooms, respect is usually communicated in subtle ways. A quick nod, a short comment, or a simple moment of eye contact can say more than a long speech. Offensive teammates seemed especially attentive. For them, the quarterback's reaction matters more than anyone else. Wide receivers, running backs, and offensive linemen depend on the quarterback to guide the entire unit through pressure. If the quarterback loses control emotionally, the offense can quickly lose rhythm. By staying calm and focused during the drill, Sanders may have quietly strengthened the trust of the players around him. It showed that he could absorb pressure without allowing it to disrupt the play. Defensive players, meanwhile, often respect composure even when they are the ones creating the challenge. Competition during practice can be intense, but it also builds mutual respect. When a young quarterback refuses to panic, defenders sometimes view that as a sign of toughness rather than weakness. Coaches were also paying attention. Every training camp includes moments designed to test players mentally as much as physically. Coaches want to see who maintains discipline when emotions rise. Those observations can influence future decisions about playing time and leadership roles. Of course, one practice moment does not define a career. The NFL season is long and rookies face countless tests throughout their first year. There will be mistakes, learning moments, and difficult games along the way. Still, small moments often shape the early narrative around a young player. For Shedeur Sanders, the calm reaction during that drill may have quietly shifted how some teammates see him. Instead of simply being the talented rookie with attention around his name, he began to look like someone capable of handling pressure inside a professional locker room. And in a league where trust between teammates can determine success on the field, that kind of impression can be more valuable than any single throw or highlight play. American football. While players on the field were reacting to the exchange, another group was watching even more carefully from the sidelines: the coaching staff. Moments like this are often more important to coaches than a perfectly executed play because they reveal something statistics cannot measure. They show how a player thinks under pressure. For the coaching staff of the Cleveland Browns, training camp is more than just physical preparation. It's a long evaluation process. Every drill, every rep, and every unexpected situation helps them understand the personalities and leadership traits of the players on the roster. That's why the practice moment involving Shedeur Sanders likely caught their attention. Reports from the session suggested that coaches observed the situation closely but chose not to step in immediately. That decision can actually say a lot about how NFL practices operate. Coaches often prefer to see how players manage tense situations themselves rather than resolving every conflict from the sideline. In many cases, allowing the moment to play out naturally gives coaches valuable insight into leadership dynamics within the team. When a quarterback responds to pressure without needing intervention, it shows that he may already be developing the authority required to guide the offense. Quarterbacks carry a unique responsibility within an NFL offense. They must communicate with coaches, read defenses, call adjustments at the line of scrimmage, and keep 10 other players aligned on the same objective. If they cannot manage pressure during practice, it becomes difficult to trust them during real game situations. Because of that, coaching staffs watch closely when something unexpected happens. Physical skills are easy to evaluate. A quarterback's arm strength, throwing mechanics, and accuracy can all be measured through drills and film study. But mental composure is much harder to measure. It only becomes visible during real moments of tension. When Sanders addressed the disruption calmly and then quickly returned to running the offense, it may have provided coaches with an important piece of that evaluation. In the NFL, a quarterback who can settle a situation without escalating it often earns trust quickly. Coaches want leaders who can keep the team focused, especially when distractions appear on the field. Emotional reactions can sometimes derail practices, slow down drills, or create unnecessary conflicts within the locker room. Instead, the ideal response is controlled leadership, acknowledging the moment, resolving it quickly, and moving forward. That approach appeared to be exactly what Sanders demonstrated. For coaches, those moments become part of a much larger picture. Training camp lasts weeks, and dozens of similar situations unfold during that time. Each interaction helps the staff determine how ready a young player might be for the responsibility of leading an NFL offense. Of course, no single practice rep determines a player's future. Coaches rely on a combination of performance, preparation, film study, and team chemistry before making major decisions. Still, they often remember moments where a player handled pressure effectively. Those are the moments that hint at potential leadership. For a rookie quarterback competing to establish himself within a professional locker room, showing composure early can be extremely valuable. It suggests that the player understands the mental demands of the position and is capable of guiding teammates through stressful situations. And when coaches begin to notice that quality during practice, it can quietly influence how they evaluate the quarterback moving forward. Because in the NFL, leadership isn't something a coach can assign, it's something players demonstrate, especially when the pressure unexpectedly arrives. American football. While the practice moment involving Shedeur Sanders drew attention inside the facility, it also connects to a much larger conversation surrounding the quarterback situation for the Cleveland Browns. For months, analysts, fans, and media outlets have debated what the team's long-term plan might be at the most important position in football. Quarterback discussions in Cleveland are nothing new. The franchise has spent years searching for long-term stability under center, cycling through different starters while trying to build a consistent offensive identity. Because of that history, every new quarterback who arrives in Cleveland is automatically placed under a microscope. That attention becomes even stronger when the player arrives with significant expectations attached to his name. Sanders entered the professional spotlight after a widely discussed college career that kept him in national conversations long before he stepped into an NFL practice field. His leadership style, confidence, and visibility made him one of the more recognizable young quarterbacks transitioning into the league. When a player enters an organization with that level of attention, curiosity spreads quickly throughout the locker room and the fan base. Teammates want to see how the player handles the speed of the professional game. Coaches want to evaluate how quickly the quarterback adapts to complex playbooks and defensive schemes. And fans, of course, start wondering whether the newcomer could become the long-term solution the franchise has been waiting for. At the same time, the Browns' quarterback situation has continued to generate debate among analysts across the league. Reports, commentary, and speculation have created an ongoing discussion about the team's future at the position. Some observers believe Cleveland will continue prioritizing experience and stability as they move forward. Others believe the organization may eventually lean toward developing younger talent that could shape the next era of the franchise. Moments like the one during training camp can quietly influence those conversations. Inside a professional football environment, coaches and teammates rarely base decisions on hype alone. They watch daily habits, leadership behavior, and performance during competitive situations. Even small interactions during practice can become part of a broader evaluation process. For a young quarterback like Sanders, every rep provides another opportunity to show how he fits within the structure of the offense. Communication with teammates, control of the huddle, and the ability to stay composed during distractions all contribute to the way a player is perceived inside the building. Still, it's important to remember that early impressions do not automatically determine long-term outcomes. NFL history is filled with rookies who showed flashes during training camp but required time to fully develop once the regular season began. That's why many analysts remain cautious when evaluating young quarterbacks so early in their careers. At the same time, there are also plenty of examples where early leadership moments hinted at a player's future role within a team. Quarterbacks who eventually become franchise leaders often begin earning respect through small situations long before their first big game performance. The Browns' coaching staff will ultimately make decisions based on a combination of factors: game performance, preparation, team chemistry, and long-term strategy. But the way players carry themselves during practice always becomes part of that evaluation. For Sanders, the moment during camp may simply be remembered as one small step in a much longer journey. But inside a competitive NFL locker room, even small steps can carry meaning. Teammates start forming opinions, coaches start noting patterns, observers around the league begin adding new details to their evaluations. And slowly, those small impressions begin shaping the narrative surrounding a young quarterback. Whether Sanders eventually becomes a central piece of Cleveland's future remains to be seen. The NFL season is long and the path for rookie quarterbacks is rarely straightforward. But what moments like this do reveal is how a player approaches the pressure of the professional environment. Because long before statistics define a quarterback's career, the people inside the locker room begin deciding something much more important. Whether they trust him to lead the offense when the pressure is real: American football. In the end, the moment that caught attention during Cleveland Browns training camp wasn't a spectacular touchdown pass or a highlight play that would dominate sports shows. Instead, it was something much quieter: a brief interaction during practice that revealed how Shedeur Sanders responds when tension suddenly appears. From the outside, it might have looked like a routine training camp moment. Practices are full of competition, emotions, and small exchanges between players trying to gain an edge. Most of those moments come and go without anyone outside the facility ever hearing about them. But occasionally, one of those situations carries a little more meaning. This particular moment stood out because it involved something every NFL team looks for in a quarterback: composure. When the situation became uncomfortable and the pressure began to build, Sanders chose not to escalate the moment. Instead, he handled it calmly, addressed the issue directly, and then returned the focus to football. For a rookie quarterback entering a professional locker room, that kind of response can matter more than people might realize. NFL teams invest enormous resources into finding quarterbacks who can lead an offense. Physical talent is obviously important, but leadership qualities often determine whether a quarterback can truly guide a team through the challenges of a long season. Games are rarely perfect, mistakes happen, drives stall, defenses apply pressure. When those moments arrive, teammates naturally look toward the quarterback for stability. That's why emotional control becomes such a valuable trait at the position. A quarterback who stays composed when the situation becomes chaotic can help keep the entire offense focused. Receivers continue running their routes with confidence. Offensive linemen maintain trust in the protection scheme. Running backs remain prepared for adjustments at the line of scrimmage. Leadership in football often spreads from the quarterback outward. What made this practice interaction interesting was that it offered a small glimpse of how Sanders might approach that responsibility. Rather than allowing frustration to grow, he addressed the disruption in a controlled manner and moved forward with the drill. Inside a professional football environment, that kind of reaction doesn't go unnoticed. Teammates remember moments like this, coaches observe them carefully. Even small interactions during practice can slowly shape how a player is viewed inside the locker room. Of course, it would be unrealistic to suggest that a single practice moment determines the future of a quarterback's career. The NFL season presents far greater challenges than anything that happens during training camp. Young quarterbacks must adapt to faster defenses, complex game plans, and the intense spotlight that follows every performance on Sunday afternoons. There will inevitably be difficult games, learning experiences, and moments where adjustments are required. But early impressions still matter. They help teammates understand what kind of personality is standing in the huddle. They help coaches evaluate how a player responds to pressure. And they help organizations determine whether a quarterback possesses the mental traits needed to grow into a leadership role. For Sanders, the exchange during Brown's practice may eventually fade into the background as the season unfolds. Yet inside the facility, moments like this often become part of a player's early story. They show how someone reacts when the environment becomes uncomfortable. They reveal whether confidence holds steady under pressure. And sometimes, those quiet moments reveal more about a quarterback's potential than a highlight throw ever could. Because long before statistics, awards, or headlines define a career, something much simpler begins to form inside the locker room. Trust. And if that trust continues to grow, the moment from this Browns practice might one day be remembered as one of the first small signs that Shedeur Sanders was ready for the responsibility of leading an NFL offense.